of music. It's the birthplace of the waltz and the resting place of Beethoven. It's famous for its cakes, coffee houses, and of course, culture. This is Vienna. Vienna is the capital of the Republic of Austria. It lies at the very heart of Central Europe, and it's home to 2 million people, 1/4 of the country's population. The historical centre of Vienna is completely enclosed within the Ringstrasse, with the Stephansdom Cathedral at its focal point, and the mighty Hofburg Palace to the west of the city. Less than 100 years ago, Vienna was the capital of one of the most powerful states in Europe, holding its own alongside London, Berlin and St. Petersburg. It was ruled for over 6 centuries by one family, the Habsburgs, whose power is celebrated all over the city. One of the nicest and easiest ways to see the city is on a bicycle. Incredibly, in Vienna there are 500 miles of cycle lanes just in the city. Woo! Since the 13th century, the remains of the Imperial Habsburgs has been stored in the crypt of the magnificent Stephansdom Cathedral. The Imperial Habsburgs, they were like an eccentric bunch. Like normal people, when you die, you get buried. But what they used to do is cut parts of their body up and embalm them. And this is what these are. These jars are full of like brains, they're full of eyes, the intestines, and the bowels. And they're down here in the crypt of the church. What it is, they scattered the rest of the body parts around the city. So like the Habsburg worshippers can go to different parts in the city, because if you all came here, it would get really crowded. So if you're like a battle worshipper, obviously you come here. If you're into the hearts, you get about 5 minutes that way, and the rest of the bits, like the heads and the arms, 10 minutes that way by the multi-storey car park. There are dozens of churches to visit all over the city in a variety of styles, from Romanesque to Gothic to Baroque. Vienna, right, they've like got palaces here, like most cities have post offices. Nobility from all over Europe used to build their homes here. But I'm heading right into the nerve centre of the Habsburg Empire, and the biggest of all, the Hofburg Palace. The Habsburg motto was, "It falls to Austria to command the whole universe." The imposing Hofburg Palace reflects the aspirations of 20 generations of emperors, who ruled over 50 million subjects speaking 14 different languages from this enormous fortress. Oh my God, look at that thing. This crown was built in the beginning of the 1600s. And it's just encrusted with like expensive jewels and gold. And the amazing thing about it is, it's not even like the main crown. It's not the coronation crown, that's in Nuremberg. This is like your everyday crown that you wear in the household when you're hoovering up. When the Habsburg family fled into exile, they took most of their jewels with them and left this lot behind. I mean, there's an amethyst the size of a potato. So imagine what the collection must have been like before they split it up. And this is the prize of the Habsburg collection. It's 2,860 carats worth of emerald. It's the biggest one in the world, and it took 2 years to cut. And when they're finished, they turned it into that, which is a salt cellar. As well as the expensive worldly goods, they've also got the monopoly on the spiritual ones. That there, apparently, is the tooth of John the Baptist. Down there's a little chipping from Christ's manger, and up there is a piece of the tablecloth from the Last Supper. See that there? That is the actual spear, apparently, that pierced Christ while he was on the cross. And that is actually part of the cross. But I read somewhere, right, if all the pieces of wood that claim to be the cross of Christ were put together, they'd actually make 40 different crosses. So who knows? The Hofburg also houses secret treasures underground. When Vienna was surrounded by a city wall, the only way to expand was by digging down. Barbara showed me around the cellars beneath the palace.
All around the city.
How deep was it then?
Maximum of 5 stories.
So, God, so what you're saying, there was like an underground city?
It was a city underneath a city.
Wow, there's loads of statues, huh?
But these aren't actually statues, these are the positives.
Oh, right. So the artists would make these first,
Yes.
take them to the... And if he liked it, then they'd make a big
Make
statue.
the real monument out of metal, ceramic.
Who's this?
That's Mozart.
That's Mozart, is it?
Amadeus Mozart.
Wow. So the artist would go, look, this is the bust of you which I made. Do you want a big one done?
Yeah, there's a big one with legs
Yeah.
and a huge monument in the Imperial Garden.
I see. I like it, but I want it with legs and hands. God, so what are they all doing down here then? It's just storage.
It's storage. Whatever the city of Vienna, or in the old days the imperial family, didn't need, they put them down here in their wide cellars.
God, Barbara, I think I've done all my sightseeing, right?
The empire finally crumbled at the end of World War I, and overnight Vienna was reduced to being just a provincial capital city. The Habsburgs' last display of power was to build the final wing of their palace, the monumental Neuerburg.
But it was made famous not because of the Habsburg family, but by the world's most notorious fascist, Adolf Hitler. Hitler was actually born in Austria, and at the age of 17, he moved to Vienna to become an artist. But he got rejected twice at the art school because his work was inadequate. But to a letter to his friend, he said, maybe it was fate, and maybe I'm reserved for some bigger purpose in my life. He swept the streets, he lived in a homeless hostel, and after 6 years of poverty and artistic failure, he gave it all up and moved to Germany to make his name there. The next time Hitler came back to Vienna was in 1938, but this time he was at the head of the German army. He came to this balcony and announced to a crowd of over 250,000 that Austria is now part of the Third Reich.
Austria was the first country to fall under Hitler's spell, but after the war they were quick to retract their enthusiasm and claimed to be the first victims of the Nazi regime.
Oh, look at this. Coffee shops like this are an institution in Vienna. There were thousands of them all over the city. They love their coffee. In fact, they drink more coffee than they do beer. Average is about a pint a day. Hey, can I have a double espresso, please? These bars are also renowned for hangouts of the intellectuals and the elite, especially at the turn of the century. People like Sigmund Freud and Trotsky would come down to places like this, banter ideas, evolve formulas. You know, it would be like a hub of intellectual intellect.
I hate to butt in like this, but I must say that I think you're splitting your infinitives. What you actually say is absolutely preposterous. I think, by my rationale, that you're pretty shallow. If you take like Pythagoras...
so easy to get around Vienna. What you do is you buy yourself one of these. It's a day pass, and it only costs like five euros, which is like $6. And you use the bus, you use the tram, you can use the train. It's a cinch. This is the central cemetery, and it's massive. There are over 2.5 million graves here. In fact, there's more people buried here than there are alive today in Vienna. And it's so big, it needs its very own bus service. This cemetery has got more celebrities in it than any other. There are over 1,000. But when it was first established in 1870, hardly anyone wanted to be buried here. So what they did is they took some big names from elsewhere and put them here. There you are, that's Schubert there. You've got Johann Strauss, and there's Brahms. And then, of course, it became really popular. People were just dying to get in here. If you're on the classical trail, there's a few things you've got to clock off. One is go to the opera, 2 is listen to live classical music, and 3 is come to the resting place of Beethoven and pay your respects. Oh, not that one. This is the Jewish section of the cemetery, and it's got a real different feel because most of the graves are actually half destroyed. And what happened is the wave of anti-Semitism during the war, people would come down here with like axes and sledgehammers and just start smashing them up. There's even a few bullet holes in that one. Probably the most famous Jew to have lived in Vienna is Sigmund Freud, and this here is his actual house where he lived for like 47 years. And I got an appointment at 12, so... Hello? When Austria became part of the Third Reich, like many Jews, Sigmund Freud left, and he lived his last days out in London.
Freud's name will always be linked with his neurotic hometown. It was here that he invented psychoanalysis. His impact on the 20th century is profound, and several of his discoveries, like penis envy, phallic symbols, and death wish, have since become part of everyday speech.
Ah, look at that, sexual theory. See, I wish I'd read that when I was young, instead of all those magazines that I had. Look at this is unbelievable. This is actually Sigmund Freud's waiting room. So he'll be through there and the patients will be here waiting to go on. So, Leon, tell me, what was like the atmosphere in Vienna just before the war, say in Sigmund Freud's time?
Before the war was Vienna a very capital of Europe, cosmopolitan and open, cultural. Every 3 or 4 people was a Jew. Right. Was painters, was doctors, was lawyers, and was they built the city. They give a part of his intellectual life for the city. You know, when somebody want to send a sick father, he sent him to Vienna to a good Jewish doctor.
The Jews sort of made the town that lived here?
Yes. But when the Nazis come,
it just
This boom. This was finished. But it's very funny, many Jews don't believe it, don't believe that it will be so bad. Right. The Nazis will be nothing better. Yeah.
Hitler's rally inspired a tidal wave of anti-Semitic feeling, forcing Vienna's Jewish population either to flee or be shipped off to concentration camps. They left behind a vacuum, and the sun set on Vienna's status as a cultural and intellectual capital of Europe. I'm taking a day trip out of Vienna now, and I'm going to Mauthausen, which is a former Nazi concentration camp. Ooh! It's like Star Trek. Captain, coming on board to the bridge. Mauthausen sits on the north bank of the Danube. It takes 1 hour to get to by train. That there is Mauthausen. It's one of the most brutal Nazi death camps ever built. Between the dates of 1938 and 1945, 100,000 people were murdered in there. Mauthausen was chosen as a site for a concentration camp because of its granite quarry. At first, prisoners were sent to work here as slave labour to build Hitler's empire. But it wasn't long before the Nazis started using these camps as means of exterminating the unwanted. This was known as the Stairway of Death. The prisoners were forced to carry rocks from the quarry, some of them weighing more than their own body weight. And most of the times, the rocks weren't even used. They were forced to bring them to the top here, and when they put them down, the SS guards just kick them over the top and they fall down again. It's just used as a form of torture. The guards would make the prisoners line up here at the top of the quarry cliff, facing out that way, and then with a gun they'd force them one by one to push the person in front off, falling down, hitting the rocks and landing up in the water and drowning. The majority of people died through hard labour in the quarry, but the more perverse atrocities took place behind the camp walls. Unlike other concentration camps, Mauthausen wasn't just for Jews, but for mostly political prisoners from all over Europe. Clement showed me the extermination block where they were murdered. This is the gas chamber, I take it?
Yeah.
And also, what would be a shower room as well?
Yes, this is a real shower here.
Right.
But a shower in a gas chamber had two functions. The first function was to camouflage.
Yeah.
The people thought they are bathing.
Yeah. So water would come through here.
Yes, yes.
And then another time it would be the gas would come through.
Yes, the gas came through a heating stove. Here, a heating pipe,
right,
like this.
Yeah. How many people would fit into this room?
Up to 100.
100 in
Yes.
Just this room?
It's unbelievable.
How long would it take for people to die in here from the gas?
10 to 20 minutes.
10 to 20 minutes?
Yes. But the cleaning the room, the carrying out the corpse from here, up to 20 hours.
Wow. So what room is this, Clement?
This is the cold storage for the corpse before they were burned. But this is only one of them, up to 6 in the cellar.
Wow, so there were so many bodies that they need to store them.
This is the dissecting room.
Oh, and what would they do here?
Yes, this is the room where the gold teeth and the tattoos were removed from the bodies on this table here.
They took tattoos. Why did they take tattoos? What did they do with them?
There was a woman from an SS officer. This is really particular for Mauthausen.
Yeah.
She collected them and for lampshades.
For lamp?
Yes.
What do you mean?
She put it around.
She put the skin
around
to make lampshades
yes,
out
yes.
of them.
I was lucky to meet Mr. Marschalek, a former German resistance fighter who survived 3.5 years in the camp. Clemens offered to translate his story for me.
Clemens, can you ask Mr. Marschalek, how did he survive?
Wie haben Sie überlebt?
Als sogenannter Deutscher, war privilegierter Häftling, jung war ich und ich war guter Zeichner und Maschinenschreiber, nur mit dem Bewusstsein wird schwer zu übersetzen. Man muss Sand in die Maschine schreiben, hat man diese Funktion ausgeübt.
Wasn't he afraid of being caught and then killed?
Bin immer mit Cyankali, dann habe ich Cyankali-Kapseln gehabt. Haben besorgt.
Wow. What was the feeling when Mr. Marschalek actually walked through the gates for the first time and he knew he was free?
Da schauen Sie, nicht nur ich, sondern die absolute Masse der Häftlinge zum zweiten Mal kontrolliert. Alle und auch ich.
Over 50 years has passed since the end of the war, and thankfully, Vienna's ethnic community is slowly growing again, despite resistance from the far-right government. Best place to soak it up is here, at the weekend flea market, which is full of Eastern European sounds and faces.
Look at this thing. There's nothing you can't buy at this market. You got old rusty forks for your dinner. You've even got like a bedpan if you can't bother going to loo at night. There's a lot of old Russian memorabilia, like war stuff, because after the war, the Russians stayed in Vienna for a bit. And that's about it. Look at that. Computers that doesn't work, radios where the batteries leaked. They got it all. Oh, I told you, look, you can buy anything down this market. I recognise his face from somewhere. It's like a famous artist, maybe. No, ballet dancer, maybe. This is perfect. Right next to the flea market is the Nash market. Nash means scoff, so you come down here, scoff your face up, get some more energy, get back into the bargains.
Food here in Austria is pretty bland. We've got the likes of the schnitzel and the German sausage, but I think the bonus here in Eastern Europe, we've got so much diversity in the foods. There's other options if you want to get away from the Austrian dishes.
Lots of sausages, lots of meat, potatoes. There's not a great deal of choice. If you're vegetarian, not much hope there either, but you can find a beer anywhere.
Oh, what is this stuff? I think I know, huh?
This is sauerkraut, chef.
This is the famous sauerkraut.
Yes.
What's actually in sauerkraut?
Raw cabbage.
Is it good for you?
It's good, yes. It gives you a lot of power. You become like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's
Really?
a sauerkraut eater too.
Can I taste a little
Yes.
bit of this?
Okay.
This is the good sauerkraut, yeah?
This makes a man out of a boy, sir.
You sure? I better have a
Yes.
whole bag then, hadn't I?
Now it's
Crunchy, spicy cabbage. Sauerkraut, there you are, you've got it.
The relaxed multicultural atmosphere of the market has made it the place to hang out in Vienna. The bars here are the modern-day equivalent of the coffee houses in the time of Freud, where free-thinking people come to exchange ideas and listen to music.
In the dying days of the Habsburg Empire,
a group of artists, architects and designers called the Secessions broke away from the traditional art. It was sort of a reaction of what they called like stuffy art, all the stiff paintings, all the grand statues. This here was the headquarters where they exhibited their works. This Klimt frieze is like a homage to Beethoven, and it represents his 9th symphony. And what you got all these humans all coming along, and they're all floating along, them women, and they're looking for happiness. And then they ask this knight here for it, because he's like the purity. And then, of course, like everyone, we've all got the dark side. And this represents our dark side, so it represents like madness, sickness, and death. And you can see death in the corner. That fat person there's wantingness, so it all gets all confused, and there's a big humanity tussle there. And then after the battle, it's like, oh, then they come out the other end, and then the way they find love and happiness is like through music, through poetry, through the arts, through painting. So they're all relaxed. And then the end bit here is the utopia, which has got everything: peace, love, harmony. Funny thing is that no one had actually depicted women in this sort of style before, and a lot of the public thought like it was like pornography and thought Klimt was like a bit of a perv. But these days it's actually quite tame. Vienna is famous for its buildings and its architecture, and I've been all around the city and I've seen a lot, but I like the fact that my favourite building is the city wastage incinerator, and that is there. What a beauty. And I also like the fact that the guy that designed it thought that the straight line was evil. I've been avoiding it for a long time, but they're everywhere in the city, and I've had to go for a hot dog. Serious sausage action, look at all that. So many variations. And the one that I've just ordered, right, which is a Käsekramer, apparently like it's a sausage and it's been stuffed full of cheese, so you got sausage and then cheese in the middle. I know, don't look at me like that, I don't know either, but you've got to try these things when you're abroad, all right? Oh my God, look at that. I think I'd made the right choice, because I could have gone for a bratwurst dick. But apparently they're just a little bit too filling, if you know what I mean. Look at that Freud, right? He only lives round the corner. See what I mean? See where I'm going with that? Or am I getting too deep for you? Okay, I'll back off. Ah, there it is. It's my Käsekramer. And actually, the word Käsekramer apparently means pus-filled hunchback, because this has got loads of cheese in. I mean, I don't know why anyone would eat something named like that, but here it goes. Ah. Look at that. Oh! There it is. It's coming back up again. It's full of cheese. Look at that. Lovely. Oh! I am gross. Okay? Oh, but who cares? That tastes delicious. Across Austria to the town of Salzburg, which sits at the foothills of the Alps, 190 miles east of Vienna. It takes just 3 hours by train. Woo, here we are. This is my Salzburg card. It only cost me 18 euros, which is $20, and it gets you into museums, it gets you into the castle, and transport all free. I love it. And it loves me. Every year, the quaint little town of Salzburg is besieged by 7 million tourists, and it's all thanks to the reputation of one man, Mozart. And this is the house where he was born. All coming in. Mozart is probably the greatest musical genius of all time. He started his career at the age of 5 when his father bought him a violin. By the age of 6, he was touring Europe, and by the age of 8, he was producing his own symphonies. Look at this, I can't believe it. This is extraordinary. This is Mozart's actual piano. This is where he would have made all his great works of art. And here I am. That's not bad, huh? God, I swear to God, what you do, you almost feel the vibe off the keys. No, no. The religious establishment here in Salzburg didn't quite appreciate Mozart's genius, and the last straw came when one of the bishops kicked him up the bum. He decided to leave for good, and at the age of 25, he went to Vienna. The fact that basically Mozart got kicked out of Salzburg has been conveniently overlooked by the tourist industry. Come and look at all this tack. Mozart cap, Mozart golf balls, Mozart chocolates, Mozart busts, Mozart booze, Mozart music box piano. In fact, Salzburg has turned into a kind of Mozart Disneyland, full of impersonators flogging cheap concerts. But I thought I'd check out the Prince Archbishop, who made Mozart pack his fiddle and get out of town. In the German-speaking parts of Europe, the Prince Archbishop was the Pope's right-hand man. And just to show you how powerful he was, that was his house up there. Whew. I finally made it to the very top of the castle. This is the watchtower. Oh, look at that beautiful view. Oh, that valley goes out, and that's the start of the Austrian Alps. That there, that mountain's cut in two. Half of it belongs to Austria and half of it belongs to Germany. There are mountains there, that's all Germany that way. This way is the city of Salzburg. And if you own this castle, you can see enemies coming all 360 degrees. Oh, unless they sneaked up behind that little hill there and then came over. Oh, it's beautiful. The mountain village of Lofa is just a short bus ride away. I'm only like half-hour drive outside of Salzburg because I've come here to look for the old, more traditional Austria. And I believe, right, if you're going to do something like that, you've got to really immerse yourself into the culture. Or there's no point, is there? The village of Lofa was celebrating the 200th birthday of their Umpar band. I was looking for a man called George, who apparently had a generous moustache and would be wearing leather shorts, but that didn't exactly narrow it down. So, George, there's a special walk, yeah?
Your walk is from a man who has his leather trousers first time on, you know.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You can tell.
But,
this is my first time with the leather trousers.
But you learn it, I see.
I feel like
You're
Pinocchio.
very talented.
Yeah.
But I see, what
am I doing wrong?
But I missed something.
Yes,
Oh, you have no hat on. That's the last part.
Excellent. Oh, that snaps and that smells absolutely beautiful. Prost. Now the good part. Ladies. Bonars. Hey! I can't do this. Right. When in Rome, where are we again? I'm smiling. they're good. Hey! Thank you. Suffering from extreme lederhosen chaffing, I decided to call it a day. Exhausted by Salzburg, I'm heading into Vienna's suburbs to relax by the river. The original course of the Danube was diverted to prevent flooding. I'm going to the only section of the old Danube still existing. I tell you, it's unbelievable. One thing that I've noticed, like, Austrians are really law-abiding and really honest. Like, this is the tube station. There's no barriers. There's no ticket inspector, so in theory you just could get on free. But everyone here buys a ticket, me included. And just an example of how law-abiding they are. Like, they don't even need real policemen. They've got tons of these cardboard cut-out coppers all over the city, and it's enough to deter crime. It's amazing. I tell you, the Viennese, they know how to relax and enjoy themselves. They've got so many places of recreation, and what's incredible about it, it's like right bang in the middle of the city. Look, there it is there. This is actually an island in the middle of the river, and it's a great place for sunbathing. And it's cordoned off into different sections, depending on your job. Like there, right, that's the policeman section. You can tell because all the truncheons and that. And a bit further down there, it's where all the tram drivers go. Yeah, that's where they sunbathe. It's just for them. Hi there. Is the nudie bit down there? The nudie bit. Close off, bubbers. I'll go, man. I'll check it out anyway. These houses are amazing. They're like little beach huts. They'd be my neighbours, because I'd buy one of these, because these are fantastic. But I'd use it as a real home rather than just like a little holiday. Just come out when the sun is. Whew, and I'd buy one of these, but a bit more high-powered than this. Keep yourself fit. Hi there. Look at you. You've got it all. You've got it all. There it is behind me, that's the nudist beach. Whee! But at the end of the day, the reality of it is, it's like, I always gin myself up, like, oh yeah, the nudie bit, the nudie bit. And then you go past and have a little look, and it's like big sort of hunks of flesh, like chicken skin. Oh, don't make me look over there, please. Don't make me. For my final day in Vienna, I'm going to check out how the other half lived. Check this out, right? The Habsburg family, they've got this beautiful winter palace, the Hofburg, but oh no, they're not satisfied with that. They're like, where are we going to go in summer? So they build this huge palace for themselves. The Schönbrunn Palace is Vienna's answer to Versailles. It's nearly 1,500 rooms, and in its day was manned by over 1,000 servants. This is the Grand Gallery and the highlight of the whole tour. And you can just, like, imagine it, like, in its heyday. Like, massive banquet table, lots of dignitaries mumbling at glasses of wine, servants everywhere, incredible food. And the whole room was lit by 4,000 candles. And then you've got this beautiful fresco on the ceiling, which depicts the glory of the Habsburg days. Schönbrunn Palace is possibly the #1 tourist attraction in the whole of Vienna. People are shunted through these rooms at a rate of knots as the cash tills keep rattling. Between 5,000 to 8,000 people visit it every day. So if you want to see it on your own, forget it. This is so bizarre. Like, you can actually rent apartments out in the palace, so anyone can, like, say my address is the palace. This is the residence bit, and I've got to check it out, see the clientele, you know. Hello there, how you doing? I couldn't resist.
Welcome.
I have to see what kind of people live in the palace. It is incredible, isn't it?
You see? That's
What's that?
belly dance stage.
Nice. So I didn't think they left belly dance in the palace.
The biggest threat to Vienna for centuries was Turkish invasion. The Habsburgs had 2 narrow escapes from the Turks, and ironically, Schönbrunn Palace was built to celebrate their final defeat.
Isn't that fantastic? And I tell you, the Habsburg family would be turning in their grave if they knew, like, Turkish families moved into their palace. It's beautiful. Oh no, I've got to get the belly dancing out of my head because it's not going to help me. Because tonight I've been invited to one of those really posh balls. I don't know how to do the dances, so I've come here to learn some slippery moves. Ta, 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 ta. The first dance, ladies and gentlemen, is the cha-cha-cha. Woohoo!
Learning to dance is a vital social requirement in Vienna, and the Elmayer Dance School teaches everyone from teenagers to tourists to cha-cha-cha, rumba, and most importantly, to waltz.
I've got it, don't go away.
The waltz caused a sensation when it was first invented. The church called it the Devil's Dance, as it was considered sexually provocative, and people literally got high from all that spinning.
Did you see me in that last one? It's mad, I'm really getting into it, this sort of... It's class, I'm a touch of class, I am, look at that. Especially the spin one. Whew. I'm nearly ready for the ball. It's a big night for me tonight. I don't want any of you turning up and spoiling it for me, all right? Looking good, I've got the cloth, I've got the moves. Look out, ladies. Yeah.
Balls are like an ancient tribal ritual to the Viennese, and a central part of the social calendar. Each ball opens with a display of the waltz by the city's debutantes. After that, the dance floor is open for everyone, so it's time to find a partner.
Would you like to dance? No? Does anyone want to dance? Would you like to dance?
No, thanks, I don't.
No?
No.
Okay. You have to be joking, oh, you're too much. I just feel so comfortable, just amongst my own people. I mean, nobody's talked to me or danced with me, but it's about how you look. Godfrey, there many dancing? Do they dancing? Yeah? With that? Not with me, no, not with me. With there. It's too slick, man, too slick for me. Honestly, you'll love it. In London, right, it's all the rage. I've got one, you've got one, everyone. At the end of the week, everyone will have one. Look at that, that's lovely. You like it? It's good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's next? Next, madame? Right. When's the next dance? Come on. ticket to one of Vienna's 350 yearly balls will cost you around $70, and they will go on to the early hours of the morning.
I love you, you know that.
I tell you, ever since I've been to Vienna, like, I'm a changed man. It's like I'm all cultured. I know everything about classical art, the lives of the composers. These hands have played on Mozart's piano. Ask me any question about architects, artists, philosophers, writers. It's all up there, I tell you. And I can even waltz. So, in the words of the most famous Austrian still alive today,
I'll be back. You don't hang around.